Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a review/thought video. And for this one, I want to take a look at season 2 of Disney's Plus Andor, and of course the second season of The Apothecary Diaries that I just finished watching. And if there are any parts of this video you wish to skip to, timestamps will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this either on YouTube or Patreon. And for parents out there, it's worth pointing out that Andor is rated TV-14 here in the US, while The Apothecary Diary is rated. The Apothecary Diary is rated TV-14 here in the US, although on Netflix they have it at TV MA. So we'll start off first with Disney Plus's Andor. Now, for me, Andor is definitely one of the few Star Wars shows that I really like that has been aired on Disney Plus, along with shows like The Mandalorian, which is getting its own movie with Mandalorian Guru, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But Andor, what I always felt was sort of interesting, because instead of it using with Jedi or the Force or anything like that, this one, along with Rogue One, was, I would say, a little bit more grounded, as it was definitely dealt with the espionage that was going on before the events of A New Hope and everything, in terms of the rebellion and how the rebellion trying to do this and that to defeat the Empire and everything. And the first season was certainly interesting indeed, as we saw a little bit more about Andor and a little bit of his backstory and everything. Well, now going into basically into the second season, though, or the final season, to be exact, though, we see a bit more how everything is starting to play out, and supposedly how it all connects to the start of Rogue One, and basically the Star Wars movie, the one that takes place before A New Hope and all. And after finishing watching the entire second season of Andor, I will say that it still remains one of my favorite Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. I mean, it may not be 100% perfect in any way, but I still enjoy it, especially with the tone and everything, nevertheless, though. So I'm going to break it down into what I like and what I didn't like, mixed, not 100% sure about. In terms of what I like, though, I will say that outside of still maintaining the tone to the series and all, I think that it's great, and so it's good nevertheless, though. We did finally get to see some characters from Rogue One basically make an appearance, like K-2SO, the interesting, android that I think kind of puts C-3PO to shame to some degree. Maybe R2-D2, but still that bulky, Imperial soldier that was hacked and everything, that played a role in basically Rogue One and everything. We got to see him. And the Imperial General Orson Krennic, if I'm saying his name correctly, he does make his appearance in here. You see him interact with some of the generals that played a part in Andor and all, I think from season 1, particularly the female Imperial officer and all. So it was really nice to see some of these Rogue One characters really fit in and everything. And last but not least is that there are 3 episodes that I think really stood out in season 2 of Andor that I really enjoy. The first one is episode 8, titled Who Are You? This is where you see the Master Egoro, if I'm saying the name correctly, I apologize if I'm not, and to see how the Imperial soldiers are being fired upon, but also you see how some of them fight back to a certain degree. So it's definitely really neat. It's also the first time we see K-2SO for the first time, and how Andor takes him and they reprogram him to a certain degree. So certainly that one stood out the most. The other one is episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. This is where Mon Moth basically gave her speech into basically the Imperial Senate and actually calls out Emperor Palpatine and all. So certainly really needs to see someone stand up against the Emperor and everything. And then you see Andor as trying to help her escape, in which the Imperial soldiers are going after her for speaking out against Emperor Palpatine and all. So that one definitely was good. And then finally we had the one called Make It Stop, episode 10. This one is a little bit of a backstory with basically the story of basically the person who runs that antique shop that is actually a rebel spy who played pretty much a big role in episode 1 and still playing in episode and then he played a big role, in season 1 and certainly playing a big role in season 2. You learn about his interaction with this little girl that would grow up to be sort of like a assistant to him when they are spying and selling information for the rebellion and all, or basically giving information to be exact, including even some sabotages and hit to run. And then there's a scene where one of the Imperial officers finds out who he is and everything, and basically ends up taking his own life. So it really is really neat indeed, though, and it still remains definitely those three tend to be one of my favorite episodes of season 2 of Andor indeed. There are certainly others that still stood out, but I think these are the three that kind of really ignore that's just my dryer and all. But anyway, it's those three are the one that really stood out for me the most. As far as what I didn't like, mixed or not 100% sure. One thing I would have liked to have seen, especially from episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion, is to some degree, and maybe this is at least how I'm looking at it, we didn't really see the fallout from Mon Mothma's speech in terms of what impact that had on on her family, including her husband and her daughter and all, after giving that speech. Indeed, the only scene we got was them in a limousine, like the dad, like in a limousine, like drinking what looks like champagne or alcohol, to be exact. But outside of that, though, we didn't really see anything that really showed like the fallout to it, though. And I would have been interesting to see that scene if that were to ever happen and all. So I was a little disappointed with that to some degree. And finally, last but not least, I know this is supposed to be sort of the final season of Andor and all, but I can't help but feel like they could have done at least maybe one more season to a certain degree. Maybe if they did a third season, there could have been one episode in terms of, the woman that played a big role in Rogue One, what life was like when she was part of, this part of the rebellion and everything leading up to the events of Rogue One, to even maybe, maybe like a side mission here and there, though. So I feel like a third season could have happened. Obviously, there's been some reports that they wanted to do more than one season, but they really just stuck with 2 and all. And I don't know, I just feel like they could have done one more season with Andor, at least from my perspective and all. Overall, I would say I still came away pleased with Andor, nevertheless, though, and it still remains one of my favorite Star Wars shows on Disney+. At its best, though, it was nice to see some of the characters from Rogue One make an appearance, and of course, episode 8, 9, and 10 remain one of my favorite episodes for season 2 of Andor. But as far as at its best, at its worst, however, I do think it would have been nice to see the fallout of the impact that Mon Mothma's speech had on her family and all. And I still felt like a season 3 could have happened, to be exact. I know they only were doing 2 seasons, though, but I still felt like they could have done just maybe one more season if that was possible. But in either case, though, Andor still remains a favorite show of mine on Disney+, particularly under the Star Wars stuff. Whether or not what that means for the future for the Star Wars on Disney Plus remains to be seen. Although I will admit the ending that showed that looked like Andor did have a child with this woman that he was speaking to or helping with, though, it could open the door to a possible spin-off if that does happen, though. And while I still feel like The Mandalorian remains one of my favorite Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, I will say Andor is definitely up there, along with, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and all. So I still hold this with high regards as far as, the use of the Star Wars license on Disney Plus and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to the second part of my double review. And this one, I want to take a look at season 2 of the Apothecary Diaries, the anime, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my double review, and for this one I'm going to be taking a look at season 2 of the Apothecary Diaries anime that I just finished watching on Crunchyroll via I have it through Amazon on my Amazon Prime videos and everything. Now, I did enjoy when the first season came out. I did enjoy it though. I did like some of the stuff they did to it. I liked the setting and everything, and I thought Mao Mao was definitely a favorite character of mine, along with Jinsen as well. And it was an interesting series indeed in terms of, you know, Mao Mao and her personality and her response to a lot of things, where there were times she was serious, and then there were times that were a little bit where she could be somewhat silly, especially when it involves herbs or poison, that she acts more like a kid in a candy store to a certain degree though. So it was sort of interesting to hear when they were doing a second season as well, and this was definitely one I was looking forward to watching. And after watching the second season completely though, I will say that I still like the first season. I still came away and enjoyed it though, with just one thing that I would say I'm a little disappointed to a certain extent. So I'm going to break it down into what I like and what I didn't like, mixed, not 100% sure though. In terms of what I like though, I will say that I do think that there were definitely some funny moments. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were certainly serious moments indeed, but I did like some of the funny moments, like when Mao Mao sort of found a way to get Jinsen to dress up as sort of this moon fairy in episode 9 and all. I thought that was sort of odd, but including the one that I think stood out the most is when Jinsen and Mao Mao fell into a cave or something while trying to escape some assassins, and well, let's just say Mao Mao felt let's just say Jinsen's what she's referred to as a frog, which, I mean, look, it's pretty obvious what she was referring to and all, but it was still pretty funny nevertheless. So I thought that was definitely a funny moment though. And of course, I did like the interesting twist in terms of regarding Shinsu, if I'm saying her name correctly, in which throughout season 1 and a bit of season 2 though, she looked like one of the servant girls from, you know, that worked at the rear palace and everything, only to find out that she was one of the concubines, if I'm saying the name correctly, the one that, you know, stayed at the rear palace with, act like, the emperor's mistress to a certain degree. She was basically the one that she didn't really show much emotions or anything. And there's one particular scene where basically she and the other concubines were learning, let's just say what I like to refer to as special techniques of Mao Mao that she learned from, or let's say she taught them from what she's seen when she was working in the pleasure district, and how some of the other folks gave certain reactions and all, and she didn't really give any kind of reaction whatsoever. So it was sort of an interesting twist to see her both as a service girl and a concubine though, and you do definitely see a bit of a role that she played throughout season 2, especially near the end. And of course, the ending of season 2, you kind of see what looked like what her fate was and what really happened to her and all. So I definitely felt that was an interesting twist to season 2. As far as what I didn't like, mixed or not 100% sure about, I know some may have different views on this, but I guess the one thing I will say that's a disappointment is that we're gonna have to wait for season 3, and that is a bit bummer though. I don't know if it will be out next year or something. I've heard like 2027 possibly though, but in either case though, it looks like we may be waiting a while until we get season 3, which is a little bit disappointing, at least in my book and all. Overall, I will say I came away pleased with the Apothecary Diaries, the second season of it though, and I still enjoy the series nevertheless though. At its best though, there were certainly some funny moments. Yeah, like I said, there were serious moments indeed, but there were some nice funny moments. I think the best one was when Mao Mao felt Jensen's you-know-what and referred to it as she felt a frog and something. That was kind of funny though. And the interesting twist regarding Shinsu being both a servant girl and a concubine, though, again, I apologize if not saying the name correctly though. But at its worst, though, is having to wait for season 3, and that is a little bit of a disappointment. But in either case, though, I did enjoy the second season just like I enjoyed the first season, and I'm looking forward to season 3, even if I have to wait a bit and all. I am very curious to see how season 3 is going to play out and all, and if we're maybe see Mao Mao and Jinsen's relationship go a little bit further than what we saw in season 1 and season 2. I know that there has been some web comics, which is like sort of a fan art web comic that showed them, eventually having a child. I don't know if that's the direction they'll go with season 3 and beyond, though, but that would be interesting if they do that, though, down the line. But in either case, whatever direction they go, I am curious to see how season 3 will play out with the Apothecary Diaries and all. Okay, this concludes my double review of the second season of Andor and the Apothecary Diaries. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the second season of Andor, though? Do you think it was better than season 1? Do you think season 1 was better? Or do you think both of them were good in any way? Were there any episodes that you felt like stood out the most in season 2 of Andor? Do you think they could have done a third season? And if so, how do you think the third season could have played out? What are your thoughts about season 2 of the Apothecary Diaries? Do you think season 2 was good in any way? Were there some funny moments or serious moments you enjoyed in this series in any way? Do you think season 2 was better than season 1? Do you think season 1 was better than season 2? Do you think both of them were good by any chance? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, excuse me, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!